I wanted to make a short video about the chapter called Fatiha, Surah Fatiha. So, this is the first chapter of the Quran, and it's actually not a prayer for the dead as most people think it is. So, this chapter, this surah goes like this: Praise be to God, Lord of the worlds, most compassionate, most merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment. You alone do we worship, you alone do we ask for help. Guide us on the straight path, the path of those whom you have blessed, not of those who deserved your wrath, nor the strayers. So, as you can see, when you are actually reading it in a language you understand, you can see that it has nothing to do with the dead. What it is, it's an intro to the Quran. It actually tells you how you are going to read it. The So the first part of it is just praising God. Praise be to God, Lord of the worlds, most compassionate, most merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment. You alone do we worship. You alone do we ask for help. So basically, you're recognizing the greatness of God and saying that God alone we worship, and God alone do we ask for help. And the rest is a key. It is a key that opens up the Quran. The next line is Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. Guide us on the straight path. So you take that line and you realize, once you realize that Sirat al-Mustaqim, the straight path, is defined in the Quran, then you look for those characteristics. The path of those whom you've blessed. So when you read that line, you realize, okay, well, who are those whom God has blessed? And then you read the Quran with that purpose. You look for their characteristics, you look for their traits, you look for what they did. Not the path of those who deserved your wrath, nor the strayers. Then you read about those who deserved God's wrath. So who deserved God's wrath? The cities that were destroyed. So you go and you see why were they destroyed? The people who were destroyed. These cities are all mentioned in the Quran, and the people are mentioned in the Quran. Like, for example, individually, the people that were destroyed in the Quran are the Pharaoh, Haman, Karun, the wife of Lot. Uh, those are all I can remember right now. And the cities, the ancient Egyptians, Midian, Ad, Thamud, and so on. Then you go and you see what happened to these people. And then you also go and look for the qualities of the strayers. No matter how we define words now, God has defined them in the Quran. A strayer has characteristics. Those who God destroyed, those who incurred God's wrath, had characteristics. And you want to stay away from those. The same way the people, the straight path, guide us on the straight path. This is defined in the Quran. Straight path is defined actually in the Quran. The path of those whom you have blessed. What did these people do? Who were they? These were the prophets. These were the righteous among the people who are mentioned in the Quran, and their characteristics are described. These are generally people of perseverance and truthful people and stuff like that. Like, for example, one of the verses, Abraham is described as tender-hearted and loving. He's actually debating the angels to save the people of Lot, even though they are detestable people. One of Abraham's qualities is he was tender-hearted. He was compassionate. Stuff like that. So all of these things are in the Quran. You just need a guide. You need to know how to read it. And Surah Al-Fatiha, the chapter Fatiha, is the key to how to read the Quran. And once you realize that, things open, you're reading it with a purpose. And it helps a lot once you read it with a purpose. Fatiha is not a prayer for the dead. When somebody dies, you're supposed to say, to God belong and to God we shall return. That's all. I don't know how people started praying Fatiha for the dead, but if you think that once I recited it in English, that applies to the dead, that you can stand next to somebody's grave and say that, that's you. I don't think you're going to hurt anybody with it. But I think the more practical approach, the more important approach, is to understand that the first chapter of the Quran actually opens the Quran for you. It unlocks it for you. So I think you should use it that way. And also, of course, this particular chapter is also a prayer, and it is the best prayer in the world. Not only are you praising God, but you are acknowledging the greatness of God. You're acknowledging some characteristics of God, which you should try to emulate: most compassionate, most merciful. There's a reason why God chooses to set those two particular qualities, set them apart from all the rest. Compassion and mercy must be very important. You know, uh, Master of the Day of Judgment. It's God's decision. So this is a prayer. Guide us on the straight path. Nobody who's not on the straight path is going to heaven. Only people that's the only path that leads to heaven. Make us be like those whom you have blessed, not like those you destroyed. That is the best prayer anybody can pray for. So that's what this chapter is. I'm just going to keep it short and just end it right here. I hope I explained it adequately.